What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Of course, we are into week 2 now of the July internationals. It's going to be another preview video. It's going to be England versus Canada. This is where we chuck on a game in the background of the teams that are going to be playing. And then over the top, we talk about the official teams announced, who we think is going to do well, who we think could do poorly. And then finally, we give a score prediction for the game at the end of it. So without further ado, there's a lot to talk about here. So let's get this game kicked off and underway. Alrighty, George Ford's going to get us kicked off. We'll go over to the right here. The wind's blowing a little bit that way. Not that George Ford's going to be playing in the actual game, but nonetheless, this is what we can do in this game because England weren't licensed. So, England versus Canada, going to be a big test for both teams here because they both got a little bit to prove. Seeing as we're playing as the England team, we'll start off talking about England. So last week, they played the USA, and while the scoreboard probably looked very friendly as Johnny May goes over already for a try, hopefully this might actually happen in the real game, not going to lie, the first 5-minute try. But the scoreboard looked good for the England-USA game. However, there were an awful lot of cracks in that England team, and I'm sure Eddie Jones actually probably won't have been super happy with that game last week. It's a bit of an all-out assault, it seems to be, this England team. It's not really gelled together. It's a lot of new boys playing together, and they seem to have the mentality of it's better to just score more points than your opponent, and if you score a lot, it doesn't matter how many you concede, which, you know, it works and it wins games, as we got to see last week. The USA playing much better than I expected them to, and really put England up against it. England managing to get an awful lot of points scored, but the defensive work really lacking, and I was really surprised to see so many players not have that defensive capability work well for them, as Mako Funabola has the slowest run for a try ever there. So they'll be wanting to improve that defence an awful lot while trying to maintain their attack. They did, of course, also have a lot of injuries, so the team has shifted up a lot for this week. So we'll check out the forwards first. Starting off in that front row, Ellis Genge, Jamie Bromere and Joe Hayes coming in. So the front row is going to need to be powerful. We did get to see how well their scrum did manage to do last week against the USA. They held up pretty well, in all honesty, for a bunch of new lads trying to play together. They had a very good scrimmaging system from them. Underhill Wells and Charlie Ewells are going to come in that 4-5 position. Charlie Ewells actually looking very good in that 5 shirt. Looking forward to seeing him. Lewis Ludlow, Sam Underhill and Alex Dornbrandt, I believe the pronunciation is, looking to do well. Lewis Ludlow taking over as captain last week. You know, a real push for him to try and move into this captaincy role. Not very high capped at all. Trying to impress Eddie Jones there. Maybe he's looking to try and have a captain in that forwards group. Maybe he's looking to see how it works out. Maybe the likes of Mauro Itoje will come back in and see how that works out for them as well in terms of a captaincy role. Sam Underhill playing as well as we just expect Sam Underhill to now. The dominant tackles from him last week looking really good, and the turnover rate as well. We know what he's like jackling on that ball, so looking forward to seeing him. I still prefer Sam Underhill at the 6th position, but it is absolutely fine for him to be playing at 7. And Alex Dornbrandt, not someone I know a great deal about, so definitely looking forward to seeing a bit more from him in this game coming up. Looking back towards the backs, as it were, Harry Randall going to be keeping that number 9 shirt. Had a fantastic game. One of the few that really stood out to me. The attack rate, the passing success from him was really, really good at those breakdowns. Looking forward to seeing him get back in. I really feel people like Ben Youngs and Dan Robson could be a little bit worried about this kid. He's getting in here. He's super young, super up for it, and playing very, very good rugby. The box kicking, I'm trying to even think back. I don't remember too much box kicking from him, which is nice to see. Not a little bit less box kicking. Marcus Smith in the fly half position. Again, looks like a good player on the ground. I think actually very representative of a George Ford type. A very good positional fly half on play. The kicking could have been at a little bit of a better standard, I think, from him, especially towards the posts. But on play as a distributor from the rucks and so on, very, very good. So hopefully he'll manage to keep that 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have Owen Farrell come back from this Lions tour and there's a choice. I would imagine Owen Farrell will retain 12 and probably the kicking towards posts, and Marcus Smith would take the 10 channel, as we see Owen Farrell here nearly get an incredible bounce try off the post there. That would have been nice. Looking back towards the partnership in the centres, Dan Kelly coming in for an injured Ollie Lawrence, who, real shame for him to go off, had a really nice try, showing a bit more than we probably expected to get his try, but has now gone out with the injury, so he'll take over at 12, so looking forward to see a bit from Dan Kelly. Henry Slade retaining the outside centre channel at 13. Love Henry Slade, think he's playing really good rugby at the minute, looking very, very dangerous in that 13 channel. Adam Radwin is going to come in. This is a lad that I don't know a lot about, but a lot of people have said to really keep an eye on him. Big speedster, big player. Going to be looking forward to see more from him. This is because Max Malin's also out with an injury, which he sort of did to himself. I wasn't really sure what happened to him. He just sort of fell over. Post-tackle, managed to get the offload and landed on his shoulder very awkwardly. So hopefully he'll be all right. Hopefully he'll get back in the team. Joe Thokinasiga taking over that right wing. Really good game from him. Again, attacking-wise, though, the defensive work, not the best from him. It's a player that a lot of people have mentioned in the comments before. That's the positives and negatives to his game. Attacking, going forward, superb defensively, not the soundest. Under the high ball struggled as well. I would be surprised if Canada don't try and utilise some high balls kicking towards Thokinasiga's wing, just to try and eliminate him from that game. I think he's going to struggle under the high balls. And finally, Freddie Stewart in that fullback position. So, the team having to try and change around a lot due to injuries and so on, but still a strong-looking team. Seeing how Canada played against Wales, they seem to be really struggling when players go for just all-out aggressivity, which is what we see in the England team so much. They love to just go forward and just rampage through you. So hopefully Canada will manage to hold out, but I think a bunch of young lads making their way in will certainly trouble them. We'll quickly look at the finishes. We are into the second half here. So Curtis Langdon, Beno Urbano and Paul Hill coming in that front row. Beno Urbano having a few issues last week. I was looking forward to seeing a bit more from him, but again, penalties and scrum collapsing from him, not the best. Hopefully he can look to improve this week. Callum Chick and Lewis Ludlam, who I'm going to get mixed up with Ludlow so much as it goes through. The names are way too similar, but both being big impactful from the bench last week. Dan Robson will no doubt come on in that second half again, although I really think Dan Robson got outshined in that USA game, so he wants to be very careful about whether or not he's going to retain that scrum half shirt in the England team once you get the likes of Ben Youngs and stuff back in this team. George Furbank in that 22 shirt will play. He can play a couple of positions, I believe. George Furbank, fullback or winger, fullback or fly half. Sorry. So looking forward to seeing him come on. And finally, Joe Marchant, someone definitely trying to move his way into this England team, but not quite solidified yet in an England shirt. I don't know why that Canada player is just sort of out the back of the pitch there in the background. But 1 to 23, really looking very solid. Hopefully they'll be able to manage this Canada game with a little bit more ease than they did the USA team. The USA team, I wasn't aware last week, have like an MLR division now kicking in, so their play is looking a lot better than I was expecting. Their ability to just sort of deal with the pressure that England exerted was very good last week. Definitely managing to get a few points across the board that I wasn't expecting. So Canada will be looking to that USA game and looking to see how they can improve their game. They really struggled against Wales last week. Got a bit demolished, really. Their defence almost not looking like they really wanted to play the Wales team, unfortunately for them. Again, looking good going forwards, but the defensive element for Canada really struggled with just any pressure, really. They didn't look to be competing at breakdowns, didn't look for turnovers. They more just tried to tackle who had the ball, which is not the way to play rugby against a lot of the sort of the UK-based teams. Wales, England are probably even better at terms of just going for all-out attack. And if you can't deal with the pressure of someone just attacking you on relentless waves, you are really going to struggle. We are into the 70th minute here, so I better quickly move on to talk about the Canada team. So let's check out the team they're going to be bringing in for this game. And to be honest, there's not a great deal of changes to talk about. The only real change, O'Gorman coming in that lock department for them will be the only real switch up in the forwards. This is pretty much going to be the same team that faced Wales and struggled so much in that 56-point deficit loss. So they're going to be really struggling to get through here. The forwards, of course, doing that, relatively good defensive work in terms of tackling, but the breakdown work really not working for them. So will be interesting to see how they get on there. In terms of the backs, the only change really is, I believe, Cooper Coates coming in the fullback position. I don't think he was playing there last week. And Kratz on the inside centre is a bit of a change as well. Peter Nelson playing well last week. That fly half seems to be doing an awful lot of work for the Canada team. So hopefully he can have a good game. And finally, in the reserves, not a lot of switches around here. I think there's only one change in here as well. So pretty much going to be the same team that faced Wales. And they really struggled against Wales, especially in terms of conceding points. And it didn't even feel like Wales got into sort of high gear for that game. They sort of mulled along a little bit and got a good point deficit. So with an England team, probably a lesser capped England team than it was the Wales team, but I'm still going to be saying this is going to be a big England win. So I'm going to call as a score prediction an England win, and I'm going to say probably about the same. I'm going to say 55 to England, I think, unfortunately. Hopefully Canada will be able to hold out and keep it a little bit less than that, but we'll see how they get on. But that's going to be all from me today, guys. Hopefully you'd enjoy the video. Make sure you drop down in the comments who you think is going to do well, who you think is going to do badly, who do you think the scores will come from in terms of tries, what do you think the final score will be. Do you think I'm completely wrong and maybe Canada will win? Make sure you drop it down in the comments because I always enjoy reading through them. I am, of course, doing these videos for all of the July internationals, so make sure you subscribe to the channel just to keep up to date with all the videos as they come out. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.